ईश्वरः परमः कृष्णा सच्चिदानन्दविग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्दा सर्वकारणकारणम् भोक्तारां यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरम् सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति. I render my salutations to the rootless root of all and the causeless cause of all. I place my salutations to the liberated masters. I render my salutations to the divinity which is inherent and innate in all of us. Thank you so much, specifically and specially, Mrs. Vani Vasudev and Mr. Vasudev, for giving me an opportunity to share few of my thoughts on could we practice sumo. I am extremely thankful to the audience. Meditation and Study Circle is not a new platform to me. I have been delivering lectures through this platform for the last 21 years. I entered this particular organization in the year 2000, if I'm right. Mr. Krishnamurthy and Mrs. Krishnamurthy were responsible for pulling me into this organization, encouraging me, mentoring me. They are my guides, they are my philosophers, and I render my heartfelt salutations to both of them. And I'm extremely happy always to deliver lectures through this platform, basically because I connect to audience very fast here. The audience here are spiritually serious sadhaks. They are pursuing spirituality very seriously. I can feel the vibes. I could always feel the vibes in my live sessions when I used to take real lectures in the premises of RV, SSM RV. And online also, I can feel the positive vibes from the audience, and I am extremely thankful to you. Today, I am very, very happy because my mentor, my philosopher, my guide, my teacher, Dr. Muhammad Faizuddin sir is here to bless me. And his presence will definitely add so much of courage and confidence to me. Sir, thank you very much once again. And the topic is on sumo. A lot of us think that sumo is martial wrestling art of Japan. Yes, it is a martial art. It's a sport of wrestling. It's a very popular sport in Japan. Those sportsmen who participate in sumo fight, they are called as sumo fighters, no doubt. But I'm not talking about that sumo. Sumo is an acronym that I have taken, which exactly means shut up and move on. Shut up, move on. Could we practice this particular art of shutting up and simply moving on? People are different, cultures are different, traditions are different, beliefs are different, faiths are different, customs are different. There are so many differences which exist in this world. Variety is the spice of life. We need to respect all these variabilities which are existing in the world. And whenever we face any issue, whenever we face any problem, whenever we face any crisis, could we simply shut up and move on? That's what sumo means. Look at these two people. A person who is standing on one side thinks that there are 7 blocks. The other person who is viewing from the other side thinks there are 5 blocks. Both are right in their own way or in their own ways. That's why I said perspectives differ, notions differ, views differ. And the simple art to live happily in this world is to shut up and move on. This is what I call sumo. I started this session in the previous lecture class that I took with a Mankutimana Kagga. I try to repeat that Kagga, which also gives a similar meaning. You know D.V. Gundappa, such a spiritually evolved person, a great social worker, and a great literator. In his Kaggas, his experiential knowledge has distilled down, and through Kaggas, we are exposed to the wisdom of D.V. Gundappa. This is a beautiful Kagga that I am sharing with you, which also reflects the same meaning, shut up and move on. ಇರುವ ಕೆಲಸವ ಮಾಡು ಕಿರಿದೆನದೆ ಮನವಿಟ್ಟು ದೊರೆತುದ ಹಸಾದವೆಂದುಣ್ಣು ಗೊಣಗಿಡದೆ ಧರಿಸು ಲೋಕದ ಭರವ ಪರಮಾರ್ಥವನು ಬಿಡದೆ ಹೊರಡು ಕರೆ ಬರಲ್ ಅಳದೆ ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. ಇರುವ ಕೆಲಸವ ಮಾಡು ಕಿರಿದೆನದೆ ಮನವಿಟ್ಟು. Do whatever you are supposed to do by totally occupied in whatever you are doing. Mentally be completely focused to whatever you are supposed to do, being a karma yogi. Be a karma yogi. ದೊರೆತುದ ಹಸಾದವೆಂದುಣ್ಣು ಗೊಣಗಿಡದೆ. Whatever you get out of that particular kayaka or karma or the work, enjoy it. Experience that particular reward and enjoy it. Don't mutter. Don't try to mutter. ಧರಿಸು ಲೋಕದ ಭರವ ಪರಮಾರ್ಥವನು ಬಿಡದೆ. This world is such that it throws a lot of challenges at you. Take those challenges and never forget God. Dharisu lokada bharava. People may praise you. People may shun you. People may curse you. People may demean you, degrade you. Please don't get disturbed. Remember God, be with the God, and take the onslaught. Horadu kare baral alade mankutimma. A day will come when the call will arrive. When the call arrives from the higher world, don't cry, don't weep. Say bye to the world and simply exit. You remind a true karma yogi, you remind very, very balanced. You remind as a sthita prajna. Sthita prajna. So what exactly D.V. Gundappa is saying here? He is saying, shut up, move on. So I introduced this particular part to you in the last particular session, and I exposed you to these slides. Do you want to make a difference in the world? You are living in a complex world. You have a limited time. You need to make most of it. Do you want to make a difference? If you want to make a difference in the world, you must be different from the world. You cannot live like everybody. You need to have a perspective and a view, which is probably an evolved perspective and an evolved viewpoint. Isn't it? This is a wonderful book which I read. The sumo guy, Paul McGee, wrote this wonderful, beautiful book on sumo. He says sumo is nothing but shut up and move on. Sumo doesn't mean forgive and forget. It doesn't mean ignore reality and get on with life. It doesn't simply say get over it and somehow pull together. He's not talking about forgiving and forgetting. What he says is, with shut up, he says stop, look, listen, and let go. Let go. This is a place where if you don't learn letting go, or if you don't learn the art of how to let go, you rather get stuck. You rather hang on with things. And your life becomes very stressful. Move on means look at your future. Look at the many possibilities. And you take action. Move on means it's a call to take action. But you take action by letting going whatever has happened. If you hang on, life becomes miserable. Letting go is easier to say, but it's difficult to practice. Most difficult practice, isn't it? Look at this particular tree. It's letting go all those leaves which are dried. Unless it lets go all the leaves which are dried, how can the new sprouts come out of it? Impossible. Impossible. Look at the children, how they practice sumo even without their knowledge. When a toy ceases to be interesting, they just leave the toy and play with something else. They just don't bother. They don't store the memory of toy and keep miserably crying for it. It stop giving enjoyment, forget about it. Move on. But we are not like that. We store it in our memory. We dig it out. We want to experience it again and again. And we memorize, we remember, and many times we crave for it. Live like a child. This is what Jesus Christ said. Innocent, and at the same time so simple, and not getting conditioned with the things. So life is a lot of twists and turns, isn't it? Life is full of twists and turns. Every corner of life you have multiple challenges cropping up. Imagine if life doesn't have any challenges at all. The life would have been really very, very insipid. And life would be very unlively, isn't it? Life is giving you so much of joy basically because it's bringing in so many challenges and you are trying to face the challenges, and every challenge when you pass through successfully, it gives you immense joy. Could we challenge the challenges? Yes. Being challenged in life is inevitable, and you need to face the challenge and stand up to the challenge. When you are facing the challenges, sumo preaches 6 principles to practice. What we call the principles of sumo. Which are the 6 principles? The number 1, change your t-shirt. Number 2, develop fruity thinking. Number 3, hippo time is okay. Number 4, remember the beach ball. Number 4, learn Latin. Number 5, ditch Doris Day. Don't take the meaning, superficial meaning of these terms. They have deeper meaning. And the author has wonderfully explained the procedures of practicing sumo so that life becomes easier not only for you, you make the other's life also easier. Many times we have come across people, because of them, several other people suffer. The other people who are there around that person or surrounding that person or somehow related to that person will really go through immense torture, immense sorrow. Isn't it? You make your life happier, comfortable, livable, affable. At the same time, you make others' life also meaningful. And you facilitate joy in others' lives. That is the primary reason why we need to practice sumo. And sumo is all about understanding. The 6 principles that the author has given are broadly classified under 2 categories. The first 3 principles are related to understanding yourself. Change your t-shirt, develop fruity thinking, hippo time is okay, are the principles which relate to understanding yourself. There's a great saying, know thyself, thou shalt know the universe. Know thyself, thou shalt know the universe. A statement which says, when you know yourself correctly, you would be able to know the whole world, whole universe. Without knowing you, how is it possible for you to know others? When you are a stranger to yourself, when you don't know yourself, how will you be able to understand others in the world and the rest of the world? So first 3 principles take you through the process of understanding yourself, and the later 3 steps or procedures help you in understanding the rest of the world. The other 3 principles which help you to understand the rest of the world is remember the beach ball, learn Latin, and ditch Doris Day. We have covered change your t-shirt. What is this change your t-shirt principle saying? Change your t-shirt clearly says that you need to change your attitude. Don't consider that you are a victim. Don't try to wear the victim t-shirt. I am a victim. Please show sympathy on me. Please show empathy on me. Things did not work out the way I expected. I am not born to a rich family. I never got good circumstances around me. People were not good. The tradition was not good. People ditched me. My family ditched me. All these things, please stop saying. Shut. This is what he says. Shut up. By doing all this, you are wearing a victim t-shirt. When you wear a victim t-shirt, you become a passenger in your life and allow others to determine your life. What you are trying to do here is, you are engaged in a syndrome called BSC syndrome. Blame someone else syndrome. For everything that happens in your life, you blame someone else. And thereby you wear a victim t-shirt. You'll try to gain sympathy. You try to gain empathy from others. It's not good. Then you become a mere passenger in life. And you allow other people to take control of your life or charge of your life. Okay, you may be a genuine victim. Yes, you are a genuine victim. Circumstances pushed you to such situations where you had to go through a horrendous time. That doesn't mean to say you need to brood. You need to brood all the time about what happened. Ultimately, you need to learn how to become a survivor. Don't be with the victim t-shirt. Become a survivor. Get through that stage. Stop. See, listen. All that is okay. But why do you want to keep saying the same thing, singing the same song? And people who are wearing the victim t-shirt always feel that they are not responsible for whatever is happening to me. They always say other people are responsible for whatever is happening in their life. Please get rid of the t-shirt and start taking responsibility of your life. Say that I am responsible for how I choose to respond. I can choose to respond as a victim throughout my life till I die, or I can get through that particular problem and I can act more as a survivor. And I should move on. I should move on. I should not get stuck there. Remove your victim t-shirt. Stop saying life is not fair. Rather start saying, what can I do? Don't say this is just the way I am. Say, how can I improve? What to do? I'm always like this. That is my mindset. And that's how I have been brought up from my childhood. I cannot do anything better than this. But this is wearing a victim t-shirt, and this is trying to sing the same song always. Rather be proactive and say, how can I improve? Switch over from there's nothing I can do to there is always something I can do. Instead of saying it is impossible all the time, try to sit with your friends, with your colleagues, with your family members and say, let's find a way. Be positive. Instead of looking for who is to blame for the problem, why don't you say, how can we move forward? Instead of saying I'm a victim, say I'm a survivor. This is a SUMO summary. Okay, stop blaming someone else and start shouldering the responsibility for your life, and think that you can always be proactive, positive, switch over and change your life. Shut up wishing your life would get better. Instead of wishing your life would get better, move on and make it so. Because you are the one who is responsible for your life. If you don't work for yourself, who else is going to work for yourself? Develop fruity thinking. This is the second principle which I covered. Thinking is little like breathing. Give attention to how you think and what you think, because so many thoughts keep passing through your brain, your mind. You will never watch the thoughts that are cropping up and that are moving through your mind. Thoughts form a series of waves in your mind. One wave of thought after another wave of thought. I remember my mentor, Mr. Krishnamurthy sir, always saying, thoughts are nothing but continuous waves. One thought getting attached to the tail of the preceding thought, and the succeeding thought getting attached to the tail of the present thought. So these thoughts keep moving all through. Thinking and thoughts create emotions. Thoughts together with emotions, what we call thoughtons, result in actions. And the actions that you engage in invite specific consequences, which you call results. That's why the great psychologist William James wonderfully said, you can change your life by changing your attitude. Change your attitude, that changes your thoughts. Change your thought, that changes your attitude. They're so intricately associated. Thoughts and attitude are so intricately intertwined. One determines the other. To change the attitude, in turn you will change the thoughts. Or change the thoughts, that will change your attitude. And when your thoughts and attitude change, your emotions change, your actions change, and your results definitely change. Think differently, feel differently, behave differently, achieve different results. Reflecting on how we think is one of the most powerful ways of SUMO wisdom, which can take more control of our lives. If you keep reflecting on what you are thinking, probably you are reaching a level where you are thinking on your thoughts, thinking of your thoughts, thinking about your thoughts. So you are raising a level higher, and you are trying to put yourself under a lens. And a lot of factors do influence the way we think and what we think. Your background, your previous experiences, the company that you keep, the media. There's so many things, and there are 4 types of faulty thinking, which I covered last time. I don't want to elaborate. The inner critic, the broken record, the martyr syndrome, trivial pursuits. Okay, so you get through that inner critic, and and just surrender yourself under the shelter of inner guide. Inner critic can put you down, but inner coach or inner guide can help you through. Don't sing the same song that is a broken record. And don't consider things always happen to me. And I am born to be a person to sacrifice everything. I am a martyr. And when I martyr, it benefits others. No, 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 no. Don't get into that martyr syndrome. Don't think that you are the one who is at the sacrificial end. Don't engage in trivial pursuits. That's why the SUMO wisdom says it's not what you say to yourself that matters, it's how you say it and how much you believe that counts. Inner critic can imprison you, but inner coach can liberate you. And don't replay the same message. Don't get stuck in the same group. And don't keep talking same thing with everybody. There may be times when the problems of the past don't need to be fixed or sorted. They need to be left behind. Why do you keep singing the same song? Somebody abused me. Somebody humiliated me. And somebody demeaned me. Somebody degraded me. Somebody challenged me. And somebody hit me. Why this particular thing? This world is unfair. I have been a victim. Don't sing the same song with everybody, because sometimes whatever happens in our life should be just allowed. Just be simply allowed, not commented upon, not discussed too much, not shared with everyone, and it should not become a kind of solo song for life. Okay, so this is what I covered in the last session. Why we slip into faulty thinking? It's basically because our brains are made like that. You know, our brain has a reptilian brain. Our brain has some primitive parts. The mammalian brain is a neocortex. Your limbic brain and reptilian brain are the primitive brain that you have. And your primitive brain actually leads you to faulty thinking at times. Engage your rational brain. If you want to look at the faults of other people and you start engaging in that particular hobby of looking at the faults of others, your brain always keeps showing you the faults of other people. You get into a rut. You get into a groove. Any person whom you see, first thing you see are their faults or the faults of that person. You become a fault-finding machine. You work like a machine and keep looking at faults of every person. Your brain works like that, especially the reticular formation or the reticular structure in the brain creates a kind of monologue and creates a kind of attitude in you which will keep looking for wrong things in people. You need to retune. You need to retune. Instead of asking why it always happens to me, why I'm so unlucky, why I'm met with injustice. Instead of that, start looking at 1 or 2 merits or good things in your life. And the brain will start showing the good things only later. Think the questions. Your reticular activity system will start looking for evidence that it was ignoring earlier. So start thinking positive, and you will see everything positive in your life. Start looking at negatives. Your brain starts looking at everything negative and gives that to you. Brain or mind is something like a slave to you. You need to train. If you don't train, no, the brain which needs to be a slave, the mind which needs to be a slave becomes your master. And if you want to look at faults, the brain develops that particular neural circuit, which always force you to look at faults only. It will show a lot of faults, although it is not there. So this is what is the second principle. And the third principle is hippotime. Hippotime is okay. This is a third principle. You know, the first three principles enable you to know yourself. Know yourself. And the next three principles will help you to know the rest of the world. What is this hippotime? Sometimes it's not easy to practice sumo. It's easier said, shut up, move on. Imagine somebody has lost his parent. Can you talk to him? Shut up, move on. Someone has divorced. Someone is divorced. Can you say, shut up, move on? Someone has failed in high stakes exam. An exam which can change his life forever, like IAS exam, like final year MBBS exam, like final year BDS exam or MDS exam. A high stakes exam which can actually change your whole life. Can you go and tell him, sumo, shut up, move on? Someone is unjustly arrested by police. Someone has lost his crops due to floods. It requires a lot of courage to go and tell these people, just sumo. It's not appropriate. It's not the time when you can say, shut up and move on. People need time to settle, isn't it? In such conditions, whenever people face that kind of crisis, maybe emotional crisis, maybe psychological crisis, maybe economic crisis, maybe relationship crisis, whatever it is, crisis comes in different ways. When a person is in the midst of a crisis, is it right for us to say, shut up, move on? In such circumstances, asking to sumo is insensitive and unhelpful. No, the person is not receptive at that particular stage. He's not receptive to your words. He's going through a crisis, and the reality in front of him is so different and so intense. And it's not possible for the person to understand what you are saying. Rather, it may offend the person. They need some time to come to terms, isn't it? They need to get over and get through that critical stage. Give some time. Give some time to wallow. Wallow means roll on, lays on. It's just like a hippo. You can see these hippos wallowing in the mud, wallowing in the puddle, wallowing in the pond. They don't do anything. They simply lie there. They laze around. So some people require that wallowing time when they are passing through a crisis or soon after a crisis. Don't say sumo to them. They need to wallow. Allow them to wallow. Because in life you should not deny the negative. Allow people to experience emotional highs and lows. You have no business to prevent or avoid people from going through their emotional highs and lows, because both of them have their own advantages. People are not robots to change so fast. They're going through such a critical stage where they require some time to rest, some time to simply wallow. People may be allowed to take detour to hippo time. So give them a detour to laze around, to simply lie around and be like a hippopotamus. When you deny the negative, you block the road to positive recovery. This is a sumo wisdom. Wonderful. When you deny the negative, you block the road to positive recovery. I remember very well When my daughter was doing her medicine, MBBS, she had some difficulties with respect to some subjects. Not only subject matter, some kind of relationships in the hostel. She used to cry, she used to weep. And I remember very well now, I used to interfere and try to say something to her, guide her out. But she always used to retort and get back to me, saying, "Look here, I want you to simply listen. Don't say anything to me." Yes, that's what we are supposed to do when we come across people who are going through crisis. But just say that you are present. You are present if you are required. Apart from that, please, please, please don't try to interfere. Allow them to wallow. The most common mistake that we do is we try to go all the way out to help them out and rescue them. She always used to say, "I don't want your help that way. You just be present. That's all. And don't speak," she used to say. And at times, it was looking so strange to me. And later on, I started realizing at times it's better to allow the people to experience the negative completely. If you don't allow the people to experience the negative completely, you block the road to positive recovery. You don't allow them to recover. There's a very common mistaken belief on emotions. When serious things happen in life, we may be confused about our emotions. We are so confused. We want to cry, but crying is wrong. The society considers that a man should never cry. If a man cries, the society thinks odd about that particular person. And society expects people to be always happy. Should we always be happy? So if you want always to be happy, how is it possible? Life is full of twists and turns. There are situations which you need to confront and face. Probably some of those situations may be full of sorrow, maybe very, very hurtful, traumatic. Emotions make a human, isn't it? Emotions are what ultimately which makes human. Expressing emotions is a vent for release of inner pressure. Allow the people to express their emotions and be a silent spectator. And just take their hand into your hand. That's enough. It's a vent for release of inner pressure. No feeling is wrong. Please understand, no feeling is wrong. All feelings are right only. Whether it's jealousy, whether it is lust, whether it is envy. All these feelings are not wrong, but what we do with the feelings may go wrong. Feelings are not wrong, but what we do with the feelings, the actions that we perform under the influence of some of the feelings may go wrong. Innately, inherently, feeling is not wrong. So allow the hippo time for some people who are passing through the crisis. Never in your life in future, when people are going through crisis, try to teach them, guide them, try to talk to them and say that I also went through this. No. That's not the approach. Shut up and move on means, as far as possible, try to be a silent spectator. Don't interfere. Take whatever comes in your life in your stride and allow other people also to take things in their stride. Reflect. Just be with them. Give a signal to them that you are there whenever they need or require. This is the best thing that you can do when people are passing through crisis. Hippo time is very, very helpful. Allow them to have their own hippo time. But if you allow too much of hippo time, it becomes very unproductive. A short hippo time should always be allowed. Hippo time is a very helpful time, and hippo time is a temporary resting place. It becomes very unproductive if a person hangs on and stays in the hippo time and creates a comfort zone in the hippo time. It becomes very unproductive, and it will definitely unsettle the future course of life. There are 3 tips for hippo time. Be careful who you talk to. In case if you are going through hippo time, you like to vent all your emotions, your thoughts, and you need a friend. And the friend should be such that who should not add to the conversation. If the person who is going through hippo time says, I met with such a traumatic accident, and it has created a mental shock in me. Suddenly you should not rush, or your friend should not rush saying, I recollect an incident that I also underwent an accident 5 years back, and this is what happened, and I can definitely understand what you are saying. No, that's a foolishness. It's your hippo time. Whose hippo time or his hippo time, that interference is not required. Be careful how many people you talk to. In case if you are going through hippo time, don't talk to too many people. Because with every person you tell, retell, every time you retell your story, you're reliving that situation, and the emotions and thoughts get more and more deeper into your neural circuits. Please have very less number of people who are attentive listeners and not intruding into what you are talking or what you are sharing. Be careful how long your hippo time lasts. The longer you spend in hippo time, the harder it takes to move on. This is the SUMO wisdom. Take a short time, few days, maybe a month, maybe 2. It depends upon the intensity of trauma that you are going through, crisis that you are going through. Reflect on 7 questions of fruity thinking that I gave earlier. It takes less time to move on. Reflect on 7 questions of fruity thinking. What are those 7 questions on fruity thinking? Look at these 7 questions. Where is this issue on a scale of 1 to 10? In future, where exactly this particular issue is going to lie on a scale of 1 to 10? How important will this issue be in 6 months? Many times we go through such critical stages, after few days or after few months, we would have forgotten. And the kind of importance that I'm giving to the issue now, I feel it's a waste. When I look at the hindsight later, what I did was a waste of time. And I was so unsettled, I was so perturbed, I was so disturbed. It did not call me to get disturbed. And I, like a fool, I got disturbed. This is what I feel, isn't it? How important will this be in 6 months? Whenever you are going through critical stages, ask this question. Is my response appropriate and effective? Is it proportionate to the kind of problem that I'm going through? Is my response going to be an effective response? Or am I overestimating this particular situation and over-responding to this particular situation? Ask a question of that kind. How can I influence or improve this situation? What can I do so that the situation eases out? Instead of blaming others, instead of brooding on it, instead of telling and retelling, what can I do in this situation? That should be the question. What can I learn from this? Anything and everything that happens in your life has happened for a reason. And there is some hidden lesson in it. Are you ready? Are you ready to to understand the lesson which is hidden under the situation or in the situation, look at the lesson so that you become a fast learner and you get through that crisis fast. What will I do differently next time? Next time when I face a similar situation, what am I going to do and how am I going to face? Probably the same situation may arise in future. So what am I supposed to do and how am I going to act differently? See, life is such that everything that happens in life has a lesson to us. And if you learn the lesson fast, next time what happens will be a different thing and there is a different lesson hidden in it. So that means to say we are learning new things with every experience in life. But sometimes people fail to learn. When people fail to look at the hidden lesson and learn, the same kind of problems keep cropping up time and again. Life is a very hard teacher. It doesn't leave you unless until you learn the lesson which is hidden in the situation. Be a fast learner. Try to look for the hidden lesson, learn, and think about how differently you behave when you face a similar problem next time, so that life brings a new lesson to you later. Otherwise, you will have to go through the same stale lesson forever. Some people go through same stale lesson for the whole lifetime because they are not fast learners. They're very slow learners. What can I find positive in this situation? Even the worst thing has happened in your life. Look for what. Instead of looking at only the, look at the positive part of it. So these are the 7 questions which are given in fruity thinking. Okay, and these questions need to be asked. How do you help someone during hippo time? Don't fake listen because they don't like it. If somebody is going through hippo time, they have all their frustrations to pour out. That they do when they get a person whom they feel really befitting in that particular situation to vent out. Listen to them patiently, calmly. Don't fake listen. If you fake listen, they come to know. And when they come to know, the situation becomes really very serious. Don't interrupt the other person by saying, same thing happened to me. I know how, I understand how you're feeling now. And what feeling you have, I understand. Don't talk like that. Don't invade their hippo time by narrating your story. Don't keep using the phrases like, that's awful, that's terrible. That makes them feel worse. This phrasing or paraphrasing should be avoided. Simply listen. It should be active listening. It should be very, very focused and concerned listening. That listening is an art. Not many of us have mastered it. We interfere. When other person is talking, we simply interfere. Why not we be patient? Why not we be good listeners? By being good listeners, we are benefiting ourselves and we are benefiting others. So what should you do instead? Give your full attention. Allow the person to vent. Sometimes there is so much of garbage inside which needs to be thrown out of their chest. Allow the other person to get things off their chest. Allow the person to cry if the person really wants to cry. Use phrases like, it's okay to be angry. You seem to be hurt by that. Say, I understand you're upset. I am there if you need me. See, these are the words which definitely soothe them or soothe them. This is what is the best that you can do. Don't talk too much. So the sumo summary of the third principle is, the third principle, hippo time, isn't it? Before you sumo, sometimes you need to detour and take hippo time. Yes, in critical situations, this is what is required. More you replay your story, the more you relive it, and you create a hell within. Hell within you. You create a hell within you. Be whom to include in your hippo time. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry may be involved and included in your hippo time. Longer you spend in hippo time, the harder it is to move on. Remember, you need to get out of the rut as early as possible. Hippo time is transient and sumo lasts for long. Lifelong it lasts. Shut up and move on. Allow people to vent. Be sensitive to the fact that they may want to be alone. Give them the required space. So, we have covered the first three principles of sumo now. Change your t-shirt, develop fruity thinking. Hippo time is okay. The above three principles increase our personal awareness. I need to change my t-shirt. I need to develop right way of thinking and right thinking. And hippo time is okay. Let me not get into self-blame whenever I go through crisis. Let me have a hippo time. It's okay. The above three principles increase our personal awareness. We understand ourselves better, but they help you to understand yourself. But is this enough? Understanding yourself, is it enough? By understanding yourself, you should be able to understand others. Only then you understanding yourself is going to be helpful to the rest of the world. So don't you think it's important to understand the others and understand the rest of the world? So to understand the rest of the world, we have the fourth principle called remember the beach ball. This is the fourth principle. If you go back to the 6 principles of sumo, the fourth principle is remember the beach ball. See, this is a beach ball, isn't it? Imagine there is a large beach ball placed in a room, and this room has some 100 people inside. And the ball is so big, so large, that it is touching the ceiling of the room. It's a very large ball. It's such a large ball that it has pushed the 100 people into small groups in the corners of the room. In the corners of the room. Let's say the room is squarish and it has 4 corners, and the ball is so big that few people are pushed to one corner, few people are pushed to another corner. Like that, in 4 corners, few people are standing, and the ball is so large that it has occupied the majority of the space in the room. And this beach ball, has multiple colors. Ask the people what is the color. What is the color of the ball? What happens? The people give different answers. Whatever the color they see from their angle, they say it's yellow in color. People who are in the other corner say that it is blue in color. In one another corner, they say orange in color. In one another corner, they say it's white in color. That means to say the same ball being perceived from different angles, from different places, in a different way. And many times, the perception that we develop depends on what we see. So people tend to believe what they see is reality, isn't it? For a person who is saying the beach ball is yellow, for him the reality is yellow. He is seeing only the yellow color. And he just cannot believe the ball has some other color because that particular part of the ball is not visible to him. What can he do? If from your side the ball is green, you think entire ball is green. People forget that from other side it may be yellow also. It may be white also. It may be orange also. But people are not exposed to other colors of the ball because it's such a large ball and you have been pushed to a corner and you're able to see only one color of the ball. And you think that is the only reality. People always look at things as right or wrong. Vehemently they may say, no, it is yellow in color. No, it is green in color. What does that mean? That means to say we have a hard-grooved perception. That means to say our perception is like this. It is right or wrong. We don't look at things in between. We have been trained right from our childhood to think like this. We think black or white. We think right or wrong. We don't think about the grayish shades. Grayish shades come in between black and white, and that's not a reality for us. There may be things which are in between right and wrong. But our perception is such that we are not able to look at the intermediate shades and intermediate things. We classify objects, things, circumstances, situations into right or wrong, black or white. We want to clearly separate, and this is how we have been trained to do right from our childhood. People are not comfortable with gray areas because they're very uncertain areas. How much right, how much wrong? They're uncertain. Right or wrong? Certainty. I'm happy when things are certain. When things are uncertain, I'm unhappy. I'm really unhappy. I make a hell out of my life when things are uncertain. But yogis, sages, saints, they love to be in the midst of uncertainty. That's when the potentials become their potentials get realized. They love to be in a field of uncertainty. But we people living such a mundane life and trained by our education system into classifying things as right or wrong or black or white or correct or incorrect, we cannot understand the intermediate stages which are related to uncertainty. Please remove your blinkers. Your blinkers are classifying everything, categorizing everything into two ways. This is called dvandva. We are in dvandva. Dvandva means duality. We don't see what happens in between duality. We don't get the full picture unless we are prepared to remove our blinkers. We are straitjacketed. We are preconditioned. We are prejudiced. We have our own notions, and we are unable to see the other part of the argument or the other part of the reality. Understanding other people is not possible unless until your perception really expands. It's not easy. We need to adopt a more flexible way of thinking. There are always two sides to a story. I can say there are multiple sides to a story, and all the sides may be valid, but we fail to see that. We look at only one side, not even two sides. At least let us learn to see the two sides of a story. This is the first step. Maybe in future, we may start seeing multiple sides to a story. There may be multiple way of looking at things. People are different. As I said right in the beginning, traditions are different. Cultures are different. Habits are different. We're born in different settings. And we are not evolved to the same extent. Each one of us is internally evolved to different stages. So, what influences how others see the beach ball? Remember, this beach ball is the world in front of you. It's such a huge world. It's such a large beach ball. And you people are cornered. And you look at this beach ball, which is nothing but the world, from your own angle, and think what you are seeing is right and what others are seeing is wrong. Please remember, that's not the way to go about with the things. There are several factors which influence how we see beach ball. Whenever I say beach ball, please remember I am addressing to world. World. What are the factors which influence how we see the world or how we see the beach ball? Our age. It will strongly influence the way we look at the world. Our values, our personality. Our personality is broadly categorized into 4 types: cheerleader personality, carer personality, commander personality, thinker personality. I will go to that little later. As of now, just understand our personality has a profound influence on the way how we look at the world. Our current state of mind, when we are seeing the world now, what is the current state of my mind? That current mindset can strongly influence my perception of the world. So let's pick up one after the other. Age is a factor influencing the way I look at things. As age advances, several things change with respect to our attitude, our behavior, our perspectives, our notions, our beliefs. The whole paradigm that I have created keeps changing, and as the age really advances, I have seen tough people mellowing down. Tough people mellowing down. They're very, very tough. From inside they're tough, from outside they're tough, and their expectations are huge. And you might have seen some people who are too strict, too strict with things, who are never flexible, and sometimes that annoys everyone else, and that puts a lot of pressure on others. Parents change their behavior with children as they advance. Toughest people in my life whom I have seen have mellowed down. With due respect to my professor who taught me during my MDS days and as well BDS days, he was my guide. He was such a tough person. And as age advanced, now when I meet him, I feel Sir has mellowed down. And many times my students say, Sir, you are not like how you used to be 2 or 3 decades before. We were your students and you were such a strict person. You never used to smile at us, or you never used to have a light moment with us. Your expectations were high. Probably I was mentored by my guide like that. And I had a limited experience of my own at that age. And I was in turn a strict teacher. And now when those old students see me, Sir, why did you do like that with us? You used to be very strict with the deadlines and you expected so much discipline from us. But now we see a different you now. Yes, mellowed down. Parents change their behavior with children as the children grow. This has happened in almost all homes. Accepting things as they are instead of struggling. As you advance in age, you accept things because you realize it's very difficult to change anything. When I have not changed myself, I don't think I can change others. Isn't it? So you start accepting things. And dress does not matter as the age advances. What matters is health. Carrying grudges may be a less priority as the age advances. So age as a factor will influence the way you look at life and the way you look at world. Because as age advances, your experience also advances. The experience that adds a quality in you will change your perspective and leave you as a different person. If such a thing doesn't happen, probably that means to say you have not moved even an inch forward. If age has brought a lot of change in you, the meaning is you have changed over a period of time, and the change is reflecting the evolution that has happened from inside. Isn't it? So this is how aged people look at things differently because of their vast experience when compared to youngsters. At each age, we have a different perspective. We have a different way of looking at things. That's how we all did grow. We all did grow. Out of ignorance, we have committed multiple mistakes, and we have learned over a period of time. Our experience and our age has added to our quality and has designed a different me in me, the small me in big me, a different me in me. Isn't it? This is the first thing. Second thing, values that we cherish will influence the way we look at the beach ball. Values different from a person to person. Ultimately, what values you value is completely unique to every person. And the values that we cherish creates a lens. And I begin to see the world through that lens. Let's see. I'll just give you an example. What exactly happened is, even otherwise I was a bit serious person when I was in my childhood and in my youthhood. With so many things I used to be serious. One of the things is being right on time. Rather, I prefer to be there in the railway station or in the bus stop or in the airport or in the classroom 5 minutes or 10 minutes earlier. I'm a very, very rigid person with that. I don't allow any student to walk into my class even 1 minute after the prescribed time. I simply shut the door. I was like this. I cherish that value of being disciplined and valuing the time. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. Maybe there are two ways to look at things. I don't say I'm right or I'm wrong. Again, there the problem comes when we start categorizing the things into right and wrong. Once I create that kind of value that I cherish in my life, I start seeing the world through that lens. And being on time is correct. And being late is wrong. So I divided now the act of attending a particular act into right or wrong depending upon whether I'm there on right time or not. Now the lens has a model of its own of rights and wrongs. I'm just giving you one example how a value influences the world that I see. When other people behave differently, we may label them wrong. I have seen this happening. My own students, some of them have become professors, and many of them have become professors now. When there is a professors and HODs meeting which is going on, one of my 20 years back student walks into the meeting happily after 10 to 15 minutes and sit comfortably beside me. And I have been there for the meeting 10 minutes earlier, and I was sitting and waiting in the hall. So suddenly I felt a pinch. What kind of student he is? He's no more a student now, he's a professor, but professors have this tendency of saying, looking at them as students only even after I may be wrong, we may be wrong. So I was surprised. Hey, come on, what kind of wrong behavior? I never taught them to be like this. Yes, probably. But that doesn't mean to say he's wrong. His perspective may be different. This mindset, wherein I say I am right and he is wrong, That is, my way is the right way and other ways are all wrong. This mindset will strongly influence the way I look at life, the way I look at the world. This mindset hinders the ability to develop successful relationships. When I categorize people into right and wrong and start viewing those people who are contradicting what I value as doing something wrong, then I create a barrier in my relationship. Don't you think so? Should we not be open minded? Probably his personality is different. He is an easygoing person. He doesn't value time as much as I value. And he may have a different reason for that. So should I not accommodate him? Okay, third one, personality is a factor. Carl Jung, you might have heard of this psychologist, Carl Jung, a Swiss psychologist. We say Jungian theory. He was the one who came out with collective unconscious as a great term in psychology. A lot of things that we do, that we think, that we feel are influenced by collective unconscious. Okay, I'll go into collective unconscious in some of the future lecture where I pick up Jung. He is my favorite psychologist. One of the favorite psychologists. I have read a little about him. Okay, so Carl Jung developed a personality classification. And personality will certainly influence the way you look at life and you look at world. You can be of any one of these categories: the cheerleader, the carer, the commander, and the thinker. Let's try to understand who is a cheerleader. A cheerleader personality is such a personality where the person is an extrovert, highly energized when he is around with others. When he is surrounded by other people, he is highly energized because he is a cheerleader. Emotions always on their sleeves. Emotions on their sleeves. And their sleeves are up always with emotions. Highly emotional. Thrive on praise and recognition. When people praise them and recognize them, they enjoy it and they thrive on it. They're very impulsive in actions. They don't think too much before taking a decision and act on the decision. They're very impulsive. They're moved by the impulsive things. They're spontaneous in opinions. They are relatively less organized and many times unorganized. They act without thinking. So whatever they do, many times is not supported by proper analysis. They simply jump into the act and they jump into conclusions. They jump into conclusions when it comes to taking decisions. These cheerleaders see the beach ball. How? Seeing the beach ball means seeing the world. How do they see the world? They often see the positive side of the situation and they're least bothered about the negative side. They account only positive side. They're daring and they lack a cautious perspective. In this process, they commit blunders many times. And they bring in a lot of problem to themselves and to others. And they're not stable with their decisions, their viewpoints. The viewpoints and their perspectives keep changing fast. And it depends on their emotional status. When they're calm and cool, one kind of decision and one kind of viewpoint. When they're annoyed, another viewpoint. So that means to say they're not having that inner stability. This is how they look at the world. They look at the positive side of the world and they jump into conclusions. They do not analyze the situation. They're very daring. They're very decisive. But many times their decisions go wrong. And they lack that cautious, crafty approach to a problem. Carer is a second personality. They are very sociable people. They value people contact. They are less extroverts than the cheerleaders. They always like to be in the background. They don't want to come to the forefront. They wish to listen rather than talk. They simply listen. They're good listeners. They have an easygoing approach, not as hardwired as your cheerleaders. And they always keep looking for avoiding conflict and confrontation. Unlike the cheerleader who gets into a conflict, who gets into a confrontation, the carer always hides behind. If there is a conflict or confrontation, he is the last person to get into it. He will try his level best to stay away from it. He finds difficulty to say no to people. He wants to be a yes man for everything to every people. In Telugu, they say, Andariki manchi vallo. He wants to be like that. He is more a follower than a leader. These attributes make him more a follower than be a leader. How do carers see the beach ball? Their perspective depends upon how the situation affects their relationships. They keep watching the situation. How will this situation probably take a turn and influence my relationship with the people? If my relationship is not getting into conflict, I will enter into this particular affair or this particular act. Otherwise, no. More than standing for the facts, they tend to avoid confrontations. They never remain steadfast to the facts. Facts are unimportant to them. What is important for them is their relationships and their comfort level. They avoid confrontations in all situations. This is the way they look at the world. The commander is a third personality. They are extroverts. They're like cheerleader. Commander is more closer to cheerleader, but they're different from the cheerleaders in some ways. They are extroverts like the cheerleaders. The focus is on getting things done. Being the commander of an army, what is the work of the commander? The commander has to get the things done. They have to-do lists in front of them, and they expect everyone to follow the to-do lists. They love the feeling of achieving. They thrive on challenges. They lack patience, but they're decisive, just the way the cheerleaders are. They're goal-oriented. They always look at the ultimate goal that they're supposed to reach. They prefer talking than listening. They don't listen to others. Your carers listen, but commanders don't listen to others. They expect others to listen to them. They enjoy taking charge of the situation. In any given situation, however poor the situation, they immediately want to take charge of the situation and control the situation. How do commanders see the beach ball? For a commander, exploring other people's perspectives is a sheer waste. They're least bothered about the way other people think, other people feel. They look at their own way of feeling and thinking. They're least bothered about others. Commander is an action man. So he wants to act and he expects others to act. He focuses on ideas that achieve quick wins. What gives a quick win? He wants to look for that. That is the way they look at the world. The thinker is the last person. Thinkers are more introverts. They're like carers. And thinker gains energy through reflection. There's a lot of reflection work which is going in them. They prefer to listen rather than talk, just like carers. Thinkers also want to listen rather than talk. They're more comfortable analyzing data than dealing with people. They're least interested in dealing with people. All the time they keep analyzing every situation into tits and bits and try to understand what is that situation all about. A lot of analytical work like a scientist. They have a very organized approach. Unlike the cheerleader who is unorganized, thinker is very much organized. Thinker is less distracted by emotions. They're unperturbed by emotions. Thinker require lots of data before making decision. He makes decision, and at times he remains indecisive. Forever he remains indecisive. But he wants a lot of data in order to make decisions. They're good in planning and organization skills. How do the thinkers see the beach ball? They see more the problems than the possibilities. This is the problem with the thinker. Thinker is so reluctant to see the possibilities. He looks at a lot of problems in front of him. They focus more on what may go wrong rather than what might go right. They always keep looking at the negative side of the things. They spend a long time on analyzing the beach ball and may not arrive at any decision at all. They keep looking at the world for a long time and they don't take any decision. They don't arrive at any conclusion. So please understand one thing. The age of a person definitely influences how they see the beach ball. And apart from that, the values that people possess and the people cherish plays a vital role. And personality plays a vital role. There are 4 personalities according to Carl Jung. All of them do influence the way we think and the way we look at the world. And please understand one thing. Understanding does not mean agreeing. All the time I am telling we have to understand others and the rest of the world. That does not mean agreeing. Understanding doesn't mean you are agreeing. Please understand this particular point. We see some sincere people having very strong opinions. Very strong opinions. They're very nice people, but they have some very strong opinions when it comes to some particular issues. You may think that is wrong and you like to change them. When you want to change them, never begin with the attitude, I am right and you are wrong. Yes, there are people with their own hard-stung notions, hard-grooved, straight-jacketed, confounded, prejudiced. They carry their own conjectures. That doesn't mean to say you try to change them with an attitude, I am right and you are wrong. Please get rid of this attitude. Look at this, sir. I think like this, I am right. Since you think like this, probably you are wrong. Don't say like that. Don't begin your conversation with that. Begin by saying, let me understand why you think so or behave so. So understanding is pivotal. If you want to win friends and influence people, start by first trying to understand them. And people have different way of perceiving things. People are less defensive when you seek to understand their viewpoint rather than try to dismantle it. Don't approach any person thinking that you can change that person by trying to attempt throwing off their prejudices or throwing off their views. People become less defensive and more cooperative when you understand them rather than attacking their viewpoints and trying to dismantle. So with this, I'm going to end this session. How to move forward. Identify a relationship that needs improvement. Maybe in your life, some particular relationship has gone haywire. Look at that relationship. If you want to improve, do not have conversation with that person when both of you are angry. First and foremost thing, when you are talking from your primitive brains, if you are talking from primitive brains, please stop. That's not a right time. If you are starting to talk with the other person with whom you have lost the relationship from your mammalian brain, that is neocortex, yes, go ahead. Primitive brain should not talk if you want to improve the relationship. First, calmly listen to the other person saying. Allow the other person to speak and try to be calm as far as possible. Don't interrupt the conversation and don't take over the conversation. Don't finish off other person's sentences. Allow the other person to speak completely. That will force the other person to rush through. If you force the other person to finish off by interfering, the other person has to rush through and that will put him into duress. Work hard to understanding other person's perspective as he speaks. Put aside preconceived ideas on the other person. You might have developed some preconceived ideas. Put that aside. Focus on with what all you may agree rather than what divides you. When you are listening to the other person, focus on where all you are concurring, where all you are in convergence, rather than where all you are in divergence. Don't give attention to that. As the other person finishes speaking, ask the other person, would you like to add anything more before I speak? Give a chance. Before you share your perspectives, try to get clarifications from the person. If you are unclear, you spoke like this, I did not understand. Can you be more clear? So try to clarify if you have some points to clarify. It's now your turn to share your views. Be assertive if other person doesn't role model you in the conversation. Now you express your viewpoint silently. If the other person interfere, assertively tell that I remained silent when you were speaking. I expect the same gesture from you, and make the other person calm down. And the best thing, treat them the way they want. Not everyone wants to be treated in the same way as you do. Treat people as they want to be treated. Every person wants to be treated in a different way. Please understand that this is where understanding others become important. In a nutshell, the ability to succeed in life is inextricably linked to your ability to deal with people. If you fail to deal with people the way you are supposed to deal with, probably you create a lot of conflict in relationships. Your relationships become stale, and probably you will less enjoy your life, and you will less allow others to enjoy life. So this fourth point, that is understanding the beach ball or looking at the beach ball, what we say is very, very, very important. And this is where the world is having lot of problems, lots and lots of problems, because we are all hard grooved. We are hard grooved to our ideas. So remember the beach ball, remember the perceptions differ, respect people for what they are, however differing they are from you, however different they are from you, it doesn't matter. You need to be accommodated. With this, I am finishing the fourth principle, remember the beach ball. We are even now left with two more principles that we will take up in the third session and the concluding session. Thank you very much for patient listening and for cooperating. Thank you very much once again.